friends, coming to you today with a fun little project. A couple of weeks ago I had a subscriber email me and the heading of the email said challenge ? So I was intrigued and opened it. It was someone asking me would I be interested in trying to make one of these little kitchen gnomes using my famous stash. And I thought that was so funny that she called it my famous stash, because I do mention my craft stash quite a bit, but honestly that is my hobby, is collecting craft supplies. I could probably stay busy through this whole quarantine and never even hit the craft store. I gladly accepted and thought it would be so fun to make one of those little kitchen gnomes. I just want to share with you a few little gnomes that I have made here in the past year and show you that when it comes to these gnomes, anything goes. This is one I did last summer and Christmas in July, and this was a little magnet, and I made the beard out of some white yarn. And these two you may recall just a couple months ago. This one I just wrapped the orange yarn over my hands and didn't even cut it, and he just turned out to be an adorable St. Patrick's Day gnome. And here's one that was just kind of a hodgepodge of colorful fabric and rickrack, and then I had some thick white yarn for him. Anything goes as far as the beard. If you've got fun fur or any of that eyelash yarn or anything like that will work. A chef has a white hat, so I did have a big piece of white fabric for the hat, and I just found just some fabric that I thought would work good, and it had white and gray in it. And because the hat is white, I didn't want the beard to be white or cream, so I do have some dark gray thick yarn that I'm going to make his beard out of. Now I knew about what size I wanted to make, so I started digging through my pantry, and I had a tall soup can, but it just really wasn't tall enough. By the time I did a little bit of a body and the beard, I just wanted him to be taller, and the soup can just wasn't the look I was going for, and the oatmeal too big around. And so I came across this breadcrumb container, and I thought it was just right. It was about 3.5 inch circle, and it gave me plenty of height to give him a substantial beard, and then the big chef hat on top. So put some beans or sand or something in it to weight him down so he doesn't fall over so easy. Now the picture she showed me actually he had a beard, but he had a flower on his chef hat, and I didn't necessarily want a flower, so I thought it'd be cute to use one of these cupcakes as an embellishment on his hat instead of a flower. Another important element of the gnomes is you got to have some kind of little nose. The best thing to use is a wooden bead, natural color, because it's the skin color, or any kind of little bead you have that you can color flesh color. I'm just playing around with this idea. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I've got a popsicle stick and I've got a tea light. I thought about taking the candle out of the little metal thing and making some kind of little cookie sheet out of it, and then maybe take a sharp knife and try to whittle out a little spoon of some sort. I may do away with that idea completely. But so the first thing I need to do is go ahead and cover my container with my striped fabric, and that's going to be his body. Hot glue the fabric onto the container, and then just cut off the extra at the bottom. And then I cut 2 6-inch pieces of fabric, and I'm just going to roll it into a little tube and run a bead of hot glue, and that's going to serve as my arms. But I made them 6 inches long because I'm not sure exactly where the arm placement is going to be just yet, and I can add the arms at the very end if I choose to. I'm going to work on the hat next because that determines where my nose placement is going to be. So I just cut out 2 pieces of white fabric out of that big piece I had, and this little rectangle here is going to be the brim of the chef hat. So I measured around my circle and made sure it was long enough, and the rectangle doesn't have to be perfect because I'm actually going to fold it and then fold it again, and it's going to be a nice neat band for my chef hat. Now in order to figure out how big my little puff, the top of the chef hat's going to be, I'm just kind of guessing here. Alright, I have my rectangle hot glued into the band, and now I'm going to hot glue my band to the top of my container. Alright, after some trial and error, I have tried to figure out a way to do this top of the chef hat without needle and thread, because you know sometimes people are just not into that at all. So here's the easiest way I've found. I ended up making my circle bigger so that it makes my hat a little puffier. Now my container is about 3.5 inches and my circle is a 10-inch circle, so just use that as a reference. I took a marker and put a dot like north, south, east, and west, and then put one in the center. So I have 8 dots on my circle. I did the same thing inside my container, north, south, east, west, and then put one in the center. So now all I'm going to do is put a spot of hot glue and match up the dots, and that way I know every couple of inches this circle is connected to the inside of the container, and it will kind of make a gathered look, and I'll show you what it looks like. So here is the back and here is the front, and by making my circle much bigger than I originally thought was definitely the trick to it. Match those 8 dots up and you won't have to fool with needle and thread. I'm ready to go ahead and glue my little wooden ball nose. I'm going to find the front of my container and glue it just like that. Now I have made many different gnomes many different ways, and there's no right or wrong. You can do your beard however. It can just be a bunch of strings. I went ahead and just cut a piece of cardboard template. Is be sure and cut out a notch so it will fit up under your nose, because that's the look of the gnome, is the beard is just snugly right up under their nose. So cut that little circle notch out, and then you can make your beard as pointy or whatever shape you want to do it. So I'm just going to start hot gluing little rows of yarn strips. Kind of trim it up, give it a little haircut if need be. Now I'm just going to slide it up under the nose and hot glue it in place. Now I will tell you that I took just a sharp knife and tried to whittle out a little wooden spoon, and believe it or not, it really wasn't that hard. I just held the popsicle stick like this and took the knife and went away from me like that, and did it several times on each side, and here I come up with a cute little wooden spoon. Okay friends, here's my little kitchen gnome. I think he turned out so cute with or without the arms. I did find a couple more things I could have used. I had this little miniature grater, which they sell these at Big Lots by the way, and then I also had a little wooden sugar bowl that would have been cute in his hands. But I just made something that I knew everybody likely had, and that was a tea light candle and a popsicle stick. But just love the way his little hat turned out, and this was such a fun little challenge project. So I encourage you, if you see anything on Pinterest or a magazine, don't hesitate to email me. I'm always looking for content. I would love to make something you want to see. I appreciate you watching, and I'll be back in a few days. Bye-bye.